these guys decided to go to the forest and kill a bunch of rats.
This season feels like a home game.
Fantasy High Homecoming.
Please, we're not shitting on it.
No, yeah, like...
Hello.
Welcome back to Not Quite Nerds.
Not Quite Cool Kids.
I'm Jay.
I'm TJ, and welcome back to the podcast.
Yes.
Some of you might not have been here before.
Yeah. Today, we are going to be talking about Fantasy High Junior Year, because we just finished our reaction series.
Yes, finally done.
Yes.
After pretty much a year, even though it was maybe 3 months in Dimension
In real
20
time, yeah.
Yeah, we've finished now. It's been a while since we filmed, so that we've had enough time to stew on our thoughts.
Yes.
And we thought that we'd just bring you a little podcast debrief about the whole series, as well as talking about maybe the future of what we think Fantasy High could look like, other things like that. And yeah, just Dimension 20 stuff in general. Jay has come up with a great list of stuff, I'm sure. I don't know, so I'm saying that,
It's
but I don't
he
actually
says
know.
that with so much
I might
trust.
hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go through that and maybe talk about some other stuff at the end. So yeah, just stick around for that.
Beautiful. And please say hello in the comments. We've really enjoyed. This is the first time we've done a reaction series, and seeing
First
everyone
time
in
we've
the
done a
comments.
pod in a long time.
Yeah. And so, like, seeing you guys in the comments and just kind of watching along has been so fun and so encouraging.
Totally.
So please say hello, and maybe you could answer some of the topics and the questions as well.
If we say anything wrong, I know we always say this, but if we say anything wrong, this is the place to talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the comments to talk about it with. So
Yes.
jump in there, tell us things that you loved about the series. Also tell us things that you realized later on. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of that for us that was like, now that we've gone through and edited things, it's like fully missed that.
Yeah.
Probably because we were talking, which I know some people have commented about as well.
And we're not salty about it. We're
Not at
totally
all.
fine. We're normal and well adjusted.
And we only brought it up because like fun times.
Yeah, great. So see you in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and do anything else that you want to do. And we'll see you in the episode.
I don't know, download the video or something.
Don't do that. That's illegal.
No, it's fine.
This first one is really more big picture. And also, just so you know, I really haven't prepared answers to these as well. So
Okay,
this
great.
is very,
We're going into the unknown.
yeah.
Together.
Both of us are here together.
Hold hands and jump into the unknown together.
It's all love now.
My hands are so much bigger than yours.
Cool. So this first one, as a series standalone, how would you rate it with 5 stars?
We're standalone, not talking Fantasy High as a whole.
Yeah, just by itself. Like, just your overall... We could probably do this at the end as well, once we've talked about all the other bits, because then you can kind of explain later why you do that.
Before going through everything else, this is what I'm
This
thinking.
is what you're
'Cause
thinking,
maybe it'll
yeah.
change my
Because
mind
you
by the
might...
end
Yeah,
of it.
exactly.
I think it's probably middle for me, in the sense that I think it enriches the world. So, it's like one of those seasons in the TV show that you have to go through because it opens up so much down the road. I feel like this season really felt like that. It's like, oh, we're just like secretly putting all these things into play that are going to become so important for Brendan later. But I think rating overall, I think it's probably like out of 10, out of 5.
I said 5, but you can
Oh,
say
sorry,
10.
I didn't know. I didn't hear that. Out of 5, I'd probably say like 4.
Cool.
4, but in terms of like the list of things, I don't know. I'm always
Because you don't know what the other categories will be.
Yeah,
and
true.
you also, this is just like, as you've watched it as its own thing, like, with a big picture.
not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like 4, 5. I feel like a binge watch of the season would be so freaking fun. Like, it would just be so silly, stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking, not what do you think?
Yeah.
And obviously the girly stuff, Fabian shitting,
Yeah.
like Fig just not having the worst day in the world, like just the glow up that comes with Gorgug this season, Riz being tired all the time, and I'm just being the blessed little child in the corner.
Yeah. I think for me, it's like, I wonder if it's like more like 3.5 to 4 as well. I think, because I actually never got around to like finishing
season 2
sophomore year. But yeah, like I agree that this still feels like the Fantasy High that was established. I love seeing the characters develop and kind of them grow up and just in general, again, we'll talk about this a bit more, but in general, I think the PCs, obviously, like, especially like Ali, their growth as a player and all that, and just the overall watch experience for me, considering we did it in front of the camera and threw out, bad theories and posted them online. I think 3.5 stars to 4 is what I would give it. Okay.
I mean, and the other thing is that I think in rewatching it, it'll be interesting to see if my theories about the season would have been different if I hadn't been reacting to it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, like we said, we probably hooked onto Spice Tongues because that was the only thing we heard.
So I asked you like overall rating in by itself, but overall rating within the Fantasy High kind of canon, how would you rate it?
Well, that's a hard one because I really like season 2 as sophomore. I think sophomore was a struggle for me though because it's the only live season.
Oh yeah.
And so I do think in some ways it hinders just because it's like it hinders because that's not what I'm used to with Fantasy High. I always love Rick Perry's like hand over the series as well. So I think you miss that kind of element with the live stream kind of side of it. So I would probably say that like season 1 has such a important place in my heart, and I really love season 1. So I think so it would be Fantasy High junior year, then sophomore probably.
Because was Fantasy High your first intro?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because it was free on it is free on YouTube, so I just found it that way. So I think I think that's always going to be top on my list regardless, like including other stuff. It's always in my top 5. But I think just like this season this is going to be such a weird reference, but this season is like how I felt about watching Grand Budapest Hotel for the first time.
Yeah. And
then going back and watching all of Wes Anderson's other films, because I realized that like, oh, all of these other films were the testers for this film.
Right.
Like it really does feel like you look at junior high and the projections, the miniatures, that like even just the clothing choices from the characters, from the players, to the illustration work, even the layout. Like I'm thinking season 1, it was that weird, like not weird.
They were just
the
dome
triangle
was
background
yeah.
with the things. Like I think just everything is so elevated now, and we've gone through so many iterations, and like we're past 5 years now since the first season of Dimension 20.
It's 5 years.
So I think to kind of have this season be the like the start of the new era feels really smart, and I understand why we had that at this point. I think so I think it is a top tier season, but I don't think it can beat season 1 for me.
Okay, great, cool. I think because my intro was my intro to D20 and D&D kind of actual plays is Unsleeping City. So it is kind of interesting for me because I definitely enjoyed Fantasy High, but as we're talking, I think I really enjoyed the 7. So
are we including these guys?
Yeah, the canon for FH.
Oh well, then freaking Fantasy High is second. I love the 7.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat each other for me, so they're like at the same
all that
level.
to say that like in comparison to, because again I haven't watched sophomore year, that as much as I like by itself, I super loved it. If I fit it into all the other ones, I think that there's probably elements to it that would be the reason why I would kind of place it a little bit under the other ones. So I would go like the 7 and FH, and then it's not fair that I would put it below sophomore year because I haven't finished that. But so I think that it would be lower compared to the other ones.
I mean, we're not even talking about Pirates of the Leviathan.
Oh yeah, because I haven't even watched that.
I think Pirates of the Leviathan is probably last for me. Man, that sounds bad. But again, I think it's also early days of them testing, doing Zoom stuff as well. But I think it goes the 7 and Fantasy High for me. Then it would go this season. Then sophomore year. But they're also pretty close as well. And then I think probably Pirates of Leviathan last. But there's a bunch of reasons why.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I wanted to know like kind of highlights or overall thoughts on the arc and the overall story of this season. You don't necessarily have to compare it to the other ones, but obviously like sometimes to reference stuff we kind of have to. And as well about what you think about kind of this year's big bad. You know, so yeah, what are your thoughts on the overall
Do you want to go first?
I can go first.
You go first.
I don't have a lot, like, so this is probably like a little bit scattered brained, but I kind of loved the addition of the rat grinding, the grinding kind of concept. I thought that was wild. And we talked about this in a previous podcast episode, actually, that I had accidentally spoiled myself on Reddit because I was just looking, because I loved going on Reddit to look at what people think about every episode. Then I happened to,
episode 2.
I think we were behind, and then anyway, I saw some theories, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. So being introduced to that, and then Brennan, like, I think expertly weaving it into the narrative of like the idea that these guys decided to go to the forest and kill a bunch of rats to level themselves up. And then when I edited the like 19, you know, the last few episodes, and Murph having that moment when he goes PvP with Kipper Lily and going, you're a freak, this is what happens when you're grinding and all that. And I was just like, that was just so satisfying. And yeah, and the other thing about my brain, so that's one thing. I loved seeing Brendan do his storytelling thing, you know, especially for a moment, something like that, right? I think the overall kind of story was interesting in the sense that like I enjoyed watching it. Like my experience of watching was fun, but I feel like there was a lot of different threads
100%.
that I think because it's 20 episodes long and I want to be as engaged as possible. I was like, I don't know if these are all connected. Like they must be all connected. And a lot of them are like,
red herrings?
Are they red herrings? So there's going to be some red herrings. Some of them are going to be actual clues, but some clues are so deep. Okay. I think the reason that you could see the layering of Brennan's storytelling and the way he does like Easter eggs shows his storytelling skill, right? And I think he did this because these guys are much higher level players as well. Like he wouldn't do this for the drag queens, right?
No, too much.
So it would be too much layering. And this one he can actually build onto because it's season 3 and you have to. But I'm probably just dumb because I'm like, you know, like maybe I forgot some elements or like we said, like we latched onto stuff that weren't really the key. Like we latched onto something that wasn't the thing that broke everything open. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think story was interesting because I felt like, okay, how do I hold all this information in my mind and stay engaged and also like understand the overall arc? You know what I mean?
I think also because I don't want to take over from
No,
you,
it's good.
I just feel like we were presented with so many good options. I think that's the other part of it that I guess that confuses me when I look over the whole season and the arc of it is like the rat grinders by themselves with no other input are such great big bads. Like if they were revealed to be big bads later and that they, you know, they're level 20, which we still don't know if they're level 20, right?
It never got explicitly said. The players on the table were like, are they level 20? And I think they kind of decided that the episode 19 anyway, they were like, maybe they had level 20 abilities,
but not necessarily like all of the other stuff.
Their skill wasn't level 20.
Yeah, that's right. They didn't know how to use their level 20 abilities. Like they'd not been playing with the stuff and like, oh, this works good with this.
But we don't actually know like if they're actually, they were just guessing.
I think I would have loved a version of the season where the rat grinders are just the big bad by themselves and they actually have they have the skill with the ability connected. Like I think that would have been an interesting version. I also think I guess he can be forgotten about pretty easily, but the Hawk guy with the FBI very early on I thought he was going to be a very important part of the story, and then I think as we go through the season it becomes like, oh, it was pretty much just a bit. But I thought he was really important. Just the way that Brendan introduced him kind of sounded like he was important.
I think there was a lot of like, I think it was very windy to get us to Porter. Like I actually wonder.
Which I think I understand why it's that, because we're trying to shield Porter as many times as we can.
Yes, yeah.
Because he is so central to the story.
Yeah,
but
but
it ends up feeling a little bit like.
It felt like maybe we were meandering
maybe
a little bit.
Maybe too many threads, maybe too many things. And I also think like we were kind of put in front of us Ankana. Is her name Ankana? Ankana.
It's Baccarat.
Baccarat. That's why I was confused. Ankana being the big bad as well, even though as we kind of like get through, there's the empathy that comes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So I think that's kind of like, because early we kind of get this scary, threatening presence that comes with the the sliding of the yes to Kristen, that I think very quickly is kind of like not actually a thing.
Yeah,
like
I
it's
think,
like, oh, Ankana was just talking about it. Like I think
Yeah.
it became, if anything, it's like I almost wish it was somehow Porter that did that to freak Kristen out, because that would have made more sense in my head.
Yeah. I think it would be
yeah.
interesting if it was like, at junior year, they're about to graduate and they're now facing a god. Like that would have been interesting. Oh, not saying that this isn't interesting, but like that would have been like more like an easier story in my mind. But again, we talk about like how this is more of a layered and complex story, and still in a way it's like at the end of the day it wasn't really a god, it was a human. Oh, not human, you know what I mean, like a humanoid.
Yeah.
And his pride and his like his hubris in a way to go, I will make
the god be what I want the god to be.
And then he wanted to be the god,
Yeah.
right? And so he wants to be a god, and I'll raise this, God from the dead and all this stuff. So like at the end of the day, it wasn't even like this big celestial thing. It was like, oh yeah, it's just this random
a stupid guy
dude on the side. And I think maybe that's the point.
Oh, 100%.
But it's just, it's not what I expected.
I think also that this season feels windier because of players' decisions. Like I was watching something and Brennan was talking about how originally the plan was for the cast to be in Elmville when they get put into the haunted house. So they were never supposed to go to the elf place.
Yeah.
That was never on the table, ever. Like he had never thought they would ever go there. So then he had to connect a bunch of stuff. It turned out good because obviously it was the kind of like Christmas element. What is it? Lunar Mjolnir or whatever. And then they found their words on the stone. But none of that was on the table.
Right.
So I think in some ways, I wonder how much was actually very clear cut in Brennan's mind, but the characters were swayed by, not confusing on purpose, but like too many threads to kind of bring them together easily, which I think is, that's actually what you want from, this season feels like a home game in a lot of ways, because I was watching something about Brennan the other day talking with Zach on not Adventuring Party, what's the other one? Adventuring Academy. And they were talking about like, you have your players at the table and they come up with this great plan to like break into the thing and and they've like sorted it all out on top of the table, and immediately they decide that's not going to work. And then he's behind the board being like, it would. I promise you it would work. Please go with option number one. And then they end up coming up with a whole nother plan, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't even work. But it's like, you guys just spent all this time doing this other thing. So I feel like in some ways that this season feels like that. And I think maybe the players got a bit psyched out as well. Like I feel that in some points, like I feel that from Emily, there's some points where she's just confused about what Fig is really wanting to do at this point, which makes sense because she said that she didn't want to play Fig at the start of the season as well. Like she was not interested in playing Fig until Brennan said to her, I think you need to play it. You want to play it.
But I think, I think too, like,
I wonder if
again, like this is an additional disclaimer to people who maybe this is your favorite season. That
please, we're not shitting on it.
No, yeah. Like I think what it is like us kind of trying to understand it. Maybe a big part of it is like we didn't quite grasp it, or we're not seeing like the big picture as much.
And we're also analyzing something.
And we're analyzing
right now.
Yeah. And we're going through, and we haven't planned the stuff that we're saying. Some of these are like we did kind of have a little chat about it like after we filmed the final episode. But anyway, what I was gonna say was I think that sort of the season again like feels like that sobering season for them. Like they've gone and saved the world in the last two, and in this one, Riz is trying to figure out college. Fig is having like an existential crisis. Gorgug,
Christian's also having an existential crisis.
It's that kind of journey as well. Gorgug and his journey this season as well. So I think it's like it almost like gave the characters a chance to develop gave the players a chance to develop their characters,
which I think is so crucial if we're to go back there.
Yes, and it had to happen in like a mundane setting, because if it happened out in an adventuring world and they were out following this quest, I think it would have gone
very differently.
Yeah, and I think that's the theme of Fantasy High is it's not just adventuring, because I mean obviously D&D is that, but in this setting they are high school students, so it's like what are the things that high school students are facing, and then like obviously including like Fabian's journey as well with his parents and all that stuff. So sorry if I forgot. I think I forgot someone. Did I forget someone? Adine and her thing of like being the Oracle and her relationship with her sister. So and a lot of it is very. So a lot of them are very like mundane.
I think that's also why I like this season. I think it's one of my favorite parts of this season is the characters. Like I think taking all the story elements out, I really loved watching Ellie this season trying to be an adult for the first time as a character. Obviously I'm thinking of all the shitty moments where Kristen is crazy, but like seeing Kristen with her parents and with her brother, like, and the sobering feeling of I failed my God. Again. And I think this time we get to see Kristen grow up. I think Riz has always been very grown up, but in some ways I think this season we get to see him kind of, at the end of it, I feel like he takes maybe things a little bit less seriously while also knowing when he should. And like I think that kid had a bit of fun this season. I also think that happened a lot with Gorgug's character, this understanding of like, well, I've kind of been floating for a while and now I've found this thing that actually intrigues me, which is so what happens in high school. You finally find something that you like and it's like, oh, what if I did this? And then it's really freaking hard.
And that's what they talked about. That's what they said about Gorgug and Zelda. That was what was interesting, because it was kind of like, that sometimes that just is what happens with high school relationships. I love that. It's like you can really love each other and then the next time it's like you're strangers, and it doesn't always have to be. Their relationship
was so rocky in the season before, so it makes sense that they were together. But but I also think it is
like it was still sweet, but it didn't have to kind of come along in this next one. It's like, okay, Gorgug is busy about this other thing, so that's just an example that it's like it's just actually very high school. So this next bit, a little bit funner. Who are your kind of standout NPCs, or like for you, your memorable or just general favorite NPCs, whether they're new or recurring ones?
I think I really love the Rat Grinders. I kind of wish that we'd spent a little bit of time with them before it turned, which I don't know a way that would have happened without Kipalili, really. Like I don't see, because there was no way that they were going to just become friends with these characters.
However, I think that the bad kids did want to engage with them more, but they were they ended up quite shady, like the Rat Grinders were. So
yeah, that's what I mean. Is like I think the Rat Grinders were so freaking shady, plus the fact that I think Kipalili being their leader kind of just like, I think you see the bad kids wanting to be friends with them, especially,
and to figure out what's the deal.
Yeah, even just to, like I would have loved this season if we had like an Adine, Oshin, like getting really close, and then this kind of like moment of like, which I kind of think we a little bit got with Ruben and Wanda, but the reality is like Wanda was never gonna actually fall in love with Ruben anyway, because she's in love with what's her name, Ida. So I think in some ways I'm like, I wish that we had seen that kind of like betrayal moment, or being able to see like Oshin wanting to portray the Rat Grinders or something like that. Like I think and it be real versus the Ruben kind of angle. But at the same time, I think I do like the version that we got to see as well. Again, I think there was so many threads that it was kind of like, if maybe the Rat Grinders were the only option, then maybe we would have seen the bad kids go to them more. But I think because we had other options of investigation, then we kind of like sort everything out rather than just kind of like honing in on this one angle that has all of the options. But yeah, I just think of like that first introduction to them at the party when they're doing the ping pong balls is just so like such a good scene. Like Ivy is just like the perfect amount of bad girl energy, and also like you can tell she's legit as well, like she's not just kind of like playing up her
like they would have I think they would have
ability.
been cool if they didn't end up doing that deal.
Yeah.
I think it would have been cool to see more of Kipper Lily as well.
Yeah.
I think because of her character, she was definitely like kind of just skulking around, roguing around. But I think because she was
Buddy,
such an interesting character, it would have been cool to have a bit more of an interaction.
Like I even thought the buddy kind of angle with Kristen was so interesting, and I don't think we really got to dig deep into it because by the time things started to eventuate, we were in the latter half of the season. So it kind of was like, I can't really kind of like fun play around with this idea anymore. But like in the early parts of the season, I thought Kristen might go to church and like there might be some interesting story there.
We even thought that like maybe the Helio was like gonna come back as some sort of,
really thought that Helio
corrupt big bad.
I thought there was going to be some like caveats to Kristen, and like Kristen might have to die so then they could have a new like this is early season thoughts, was like Kristen might have to die so they can appoint a new person as his chosen one, because they can't pick a new chosen one because Kristen's technically still chosen,
right?
So I think it's kind of like, I thought there was
that would be the thread from the previous ones that would come back.
That was like early.
But the question is, who's your favorite NPC?
Buddy.
Okay, who's your most hated NPC?
I mean, I guess it kind of...
The granddad.
Oh yeah, I can't remember your username, but thank you for commenting. So freaking disgusting when you put the timelines together that he was dating Fig's mum.
Yeah.
When she was like 10 years younger than him, and he was he was already in college.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, I hate him. I hate him on an ethical level, but I also kind of hate Gertie because she was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
And I cut her out on purpose. No, just kidding.
Some standout NPCs for me were Marianne. I loved like how kind of, I don't know that that's how Brennan planned her in the beginning, but the squishmallow and the kind of the my squishmallow and the last bit when Marianne's like Jace, I don't feel so good, and that whole journey and the what's it called, the bad kids being like, can we get her on our team? Like
everyone but Golgug.
Yeah. I thought that was so cool, and who else? I loved. She was wacky, but loved Fabian's dance teacher.
Oh yeah, Corsica? No, that's his other teacher.
Frick, what was her name?
I feel like her name's.
We'll pop up her name here. We'll insert it as a voiceover.
I also she was so good, and I think the teachers this season was so freaking good.
Yeah.
Lullaby was great. Zara was great. Her name starts, it's like TH. Thor. Terpsichore.
Yeah, one of those, something like that.
Terpsichore.
Yeah.
Something sickery. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Even Porter and Jace this season, like the way that they're kind of presented, and the difference in their reintroduction to the characters is, I feel like they felt really interesting from the beginning. I mean, in those early, freaking the lady that died, that's the cleric teacher that she was so
cool.
The rogue teacher was great. Loved her. And
I think you're right. The teachers
vibe.
this season were like, and that's why you said like it would be so cool to see like a season of just
Oops,
the
all teachers would have been would be so freaking good. I mean, I think early I said Jace as played by Grant would have been amazing. But obviously ending the season doesn't really make sense.
My dog is outside, and this is the second time that she's come up here. I think she wants to come in. It's fine. Maybe do it.
I'm kidding.
Ruby. And then obviously everyone's favorite, Squeam.
I freaking hate Squeam.
That was just so funny. Like it's still wild to me, like especially looking back going, oh my, it completely went over my head that it was a whole giant bit that.
But I feel like it's so funny that I'm so glad that you didn't think it was a bit.
Yeah.
Because I think otherwise episode 1 is so it's funny, and there's some stuff that in there that's like funny from our reaction, but more like I just love me having to be like, Jay, it is a bit,
And
like stop bringing it up.
I'm like,
No,
are you
we
sure
missed
it's
something?
not?
But obviously because you didn't finish last season
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
there's like like you actually don't know.
Yeah.
And
I
so
was
it's
like, did TJ
maybe-
forget? Like, these are characters that actually existed in the other one.
It's so funny, and also the fact that like Scream and the phones being the crystals that what
Yeah.
are they called? They have another word for it. I just feel like both of those things, like the visuals of those things are so good, and the miniature is so good, and everything is so good, and I freaking love Scream, and I hate Scream with its cortados.
This is now about the rest of the creative aspect of the season. So I want to hear kind of like highlights or standouts, or maybe things that you thought were like maybe weak in your opinion about the sets, the dome, the overall mechanics that Brennan has brought into the season. So for example, I was thinking about the downtime mechanic of, you know, like they're literally going downtime and they get to select an area and that whole thing. I thought that was so creative, and it was just such a great way to allow the players to develop and follow the threads. And like, you know, maybe it felt like they kind of like went off the rails a little bit, but it was also a way to kind of keep that whole thing structured, where because there is mystery and there are a lot of things that the characters would have wanted to go into, it was such a great way of using the dice and giving them scenes as well to do that quickly.
I think it helped with time as well. Like
yeah, exactly.
Like I think for season 1, you kind of feel like it's 2 weeks, even though they went through a whole year. Like that, the downtime really helped with kind of like
and
tracking.
Brendan might say like, okay, you have 2 weeks here, and this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And also like with that as well, there also was an element of the stress token, which was in theme, that, you know, that we know later on that if they had kept those stress tokens, that they would have been recruited to the other side, which
I kind of wish we saw.
Yeah, it would have been so cool to see. But again, like our players are so good that of course they got rid of it. And you know, and that would have just been like a little complication, but it wasn't something that like it would have been an interesting complication, but I don't think it would have swayed the tides as much. It would have just been interesting to see.
I also think it really did help with story beats. Like I think there's some really interesting, like trying to not get those rage tokens was also really helpful for the like to see the characters kind of play that out, especially with like Gorgug and his like need to get through all those classes, and seeing those moments where Riz steps up to the plate to take other people's rage tokens, like all of that. I think although it didn't eventuate to anything in the final battle, it was so cool to be able to kind of like have this possibility of bad that it kind of sways the characters to make some really interesting decisions through the season.
Yeah, and because they don't know what the rage tokens were, what was they called? Stress tokens they were called.
Stress token,
Sorry, so like it gave them
stress
stakes.
tokens, rage stars.
Yeah, it gave it stakes,
Chance.
and even as it was, it made sense. Like, okay, so you are stressed. The more you take on, the more you fail this, it is more stressful. And I liked it because like we you know, we talked about how I think that one of the strengths, or maybe the point of the season, is really kind of to help develop their characters, and that was how you do it. And exactly what, like you said, I loved when Riz would take it, and of course Riz was the one that wasn't stressed out. He was the one that was getting stressed out on other people's behalf, and it allowed them to develop in structured ways.
Well, also Kristen then realizing that her bad decision making is affecting other people. Like I think I remember when it first happened, I saw on Ali's face as the player being like, holy crap, this can't happen again. Like this can't be happening every single time.
Yeah.
And like even, you know, for Gorgug to get to the point where I was like, I can't be an owlbear. Like I can't do that anymore.
because something had to give.
Yeah.
And then obviously with Gorgug also getting nat 20s in those roles, I just love the creativity of being able to weave that into the narration of going, oh no, like I'm actually doing really well in this. So I really love that element.
I think also it would be if we ever got to see an animated version of the story, I think I'm so glad that although we might not see rage tokens being in the show or whatever, because that doesn't really make sense, but being able to see stress tokens coming into the series, I think you kind of I think that, like we've been saying, the story beats that came because of the effects of downtime and the stress tokens, you really do get to see so much more interesting story across the whole season. And I guess going back to the art question, I think helps from a character perspective. The season feels so good. Like if you kind of take out the wider story, I really love just the character arcs of everyone this season. It just feels really like everyone got to a really, really great place by the end of the season where they actually feel like young adults.
Yeah, totally. Again, going back to the creative side, like the sets were just bomb as always.
Animated backgrounds.
But basically in every episode that they appeared, me and TJ were nerding out over the backgrounds, the slight changes that they would do for each background and how unique that was, and knowing that Brennan has a stream deck in the back and just being like, and that enabled even a funny moment of doing the blimey moment with the correct background. Lighting in the dome was so good, and I reckon that it is massively because of the Abria effect.
There is a great YouTube video on here. If you haven't seen it, we'll link it in the description, from this other guy who talks about kind of the greatness of everyone on the Dimension 20 cast. He's talked about Matt Mercer, he's talked about Brennan Lee Mulligan, but he also goes through the journey of Abria to get to the table at Dimension 20 and kind of what she got to bring to the table since she did Misfits of Magic. And it is truly like Abria always brings her A game and always does something different. I mean, we're just about to see that with Misfits of Magic season 2. So so I think just the raising of the production quality of so many aspects, like again the dome, the projections Carlos
on the background, amazing, and also getting the insight from Carlos like on TikTok and stuff. That was the insights to that is so cool.
Totally.
And obviously the way that they present, sorry if I keep saying obviously the way that they presented the recording of Brennan doing the Porter thing.
Oh yeah, that was great. So freaking
so
good.
Cool.
I mean, obviously, it's funny to. I just realized I said obviously as I was saying it.
Yeah, I didn't say it.
I think too with the projection, it is just like how else would you have done it? Like, it's just such a great way to do it. Especially like if you rewatch that section, it's like it only turns up in some of the little pieces, and then it slowly like gets to the point where it's the whole thing. Yeah. And it's just. And
then that. Also then making way for Never Stop Blowing Up series, and then the creative that went into that with the props and all that stuff is just so good. So I feel like this was such a fun season. I guess they also kind of tested it out with Mentopolis
as well, like with the projections from Mentopolis when you got to see the real people.
Yes,
like exactly. That kind of thing is just
So much of this is like kind of offshoots from Abria and her contribution, but it was just so cool to see like Fantasy High, the full sets, the Rage versions, all that stuff. It was just so
great job,
good.
Everybody.
Amazing, guys. Props. And then the final thing is just more like either future theories. I'm just gonna throw out these topics so you can kind of touch between a bunch of them. Thoughts on players, because we kind of talked about their outfits, which you've already touched on, and I agree with what you're saying. Love their outfits this season. It was just so fun.
Love you, Siobhan Thompson, with every part of our being.
Players, kind of just overall thoughts. We've peppered it throughout this episode already, and maybe like theories on what you think the next season might be. So I'll start. I don't think I have any other major kind of thoughts. I think we've really summarized a lot of our feelings, and I've just overall, I did love, for me, the watch experience has been so good because of all those different elements. It's like the players like are so much more like developed as well. And again, like it's so good seeing them strategize. It's so great seeing them kind of get really crazy. There's so many like random moments, like when Zach got to sit on the DM chair was so funny. The blimey moment. And so like, it's like very, very D20, like always gonna love an intrepid hero season. And like I said, like I really enjoyed the creative. I think for me that's a big highlight for me is the creative elements that went into this. It's like it really, really, to me, was kind of like another character in this part, in the storytelling of junior year.
I mean, even just seeing like Ellie kind of, I guess we did see it a lot during Starstruck, kind of Ellie stepping up to the plate on a skill level. But then this season, being able to see them come to the table with their skill and also bring energy, season 1 Ellie to the table as well.
Yes.
And like play that Kristen, and I mean Ellie's obviously talking about it a lot, that like Kristen as a on paper is a horrible character to play. And so like I think kind of in some ways it's just been really interesting to see them as a player come back to the table, just and like tear it up. I think also seeing all the other players being able to take a back seat in some regards as well, like especially with I think how Emily played this season. Like Emily wasn't really like, I don't know, pulling out all the stops on like a spell level, and I think maybe that's because of the unluck. But I also think, I think I just loved everyone this season.
Yeah.
And in such a new way, yes, as their characters, but even more so as their real human selves.
Yes.
I also think this is my first perspective of Lou during season 1, because like Fantasy High was my first introduction to him. I really struggled with that man because I was like, he doesn't want to be here. But after watching Lou as he's kind of gone through so many different characters, I've realized that Lou was just being Fabian. And Fabian didn't want to be there. To see him on the same table in the same world, go through everything he went through in season 2, and then be back here, like loving it, Fabian loving it, and also Lou being able to like actually be a happy person now. Like, you know, you watch Crown of Candy and like Amithar is just so like trying to be a happy person, but it's a horrible life out here. And then you watch him play Gunny and he's just like this happiest little chappy in the world. So kind of to see those like kind of worlds merge together with Lou is just
so
love that man.
Good.
Love everybody.
So final theories. What do you think? Like, what do you think is in store for Fantasy High senior year? Because they talked about like it's probably not going to happen for a few years, right?
I haven't heard anything explicit from the players or from Brennan, but I would say so. I mean, Brennan had kind of, he said it wasn't until he started having dreams about this first 2 sessions that he hadn't even thought about it, other than the Easter egg of Porter in season 2.
Yeah.
So like I think in some ways I think it will be a while, but I have thoughts, but none of them are to do with the future of the Intrepid Heroes. They're all to do with what I think spin-off seasons could be. So I don't...
But you have so many... Okay, if you've watched this whole thing, like you know that basically every episode he's like, oh, there should be a spin-off for this character. So let's not hear that. Let's hear your actual theories.
I don't have any. That's what I'm saying. I don't have any theories.
Okay.
Well, because other than the fact that I don't think Fig will come back.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we were to see the Intrepid Heroes, I think there'll be a significant time jump. I don't think we'll see senior year.
Yeah, that's what I'm interested. Like, I think it would be interesting to go like there. It's more like freshman year, or they're like in university, or like their first adventure as like outside of.
Which I think we're about to see with Misfits and Magic. It sounds like there's a 5-year jump between we've last seen them.
Yeah.
Which I think is a smart idea for Fantasy High because, I mean, I don't know much about American schooling, but from what it sounds like is there's not much going on in your last year. Like you're not going to classes.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I don't know. What is that as
like,
a season
what are they
going
to
do?
Yeah.
But then I'm also like, it's a fantasy world. I don't know. Maybe the school is different.
Yeah.
But I also think it would be interesting to see them all growing up and kind of see them settled into who they are as characters as well. I think that makes sense. And I also like the idea that we won't see it for another 5 years.
Yeah, me too.
Like I come back to this world for sure. Obviously I have lots of thoughts about spin-off seasons, but in some ways I'm like, I like the idea that we almost kind of, or maybe this is maybe a sad thing to say, but it could be the end of the Intrepid Heroes. Ooh. Like as a final season for them to kind of like finish out on Fantasy
Which
High.
one? This one?
As in as in like whether it's a senior year or a jump in the future.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like, you know, maybe these guys can't do this forever.
We
don't know, and that's so sad to say, but in some ways it's like I feel like it would be nice kind of like finish if we were to see the Intrepid Heroes as our like kind of like final crew with them and Fantasy High.
Wait, you're saying this is, sorry if I don't understand. You're saying this season we've just watched.
No, I'm not talking about this season. I'm talking about
the future. Yeah.
If we were to see it in 5 years, a grown-up version of all these characters.
Yes.
And that also be the final Intrepid Heroes season.
Yeah. Okay,
I feel like that would hurt my heart and also be like, I get it.
Yeah, fully.
Like, you know, I don't know. they're having kids now, and like things that like they've all got their own endeavors in life, and so maybe it doesn't work out to keep bringing them back.
Like it would be cool to do like
versus like Critical Role, they're gonna go till they die.
Yeah, I think that I don't know how you would do it because the name of the series is Fantasy High, but like I kind of like the idea of doing the 3, you know, like
True.
you go 1, 2, 3, and then it's something else. It's the Intrepid Heroes, and it's a main season, but it's like something else.
I mean, they also teased it with the buddy thing at the end that there would be another season in school.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I think it would be interesting to go 3 more from like the storytelling in 3, and you go 1, 2, 3, and then we don't do a 4th, and that instead it's like maybe they don't adventure together because if Fig doesn't finish, then they're all not gonna finish.
Well, no, they can have a new party member.
Yeah, so that could be a thing, right?
Exactly.
So they could have a party member, but then doing the thing of like. That movie, I think, what was it called? Red something? Oh, it's like the retired CIA agents.
Oh, yeah.
So like that would be so cool where it's
Called
like
back into action.
Yeah. So like in however many years in real time that they're like no longer adventuring, or they are, some of them are, and they have to come together for like the last big job.
I also like the idea that these characters would stop being friends. Like I think in some ways you have like you have the Unsleeping City and the way that season 2 finished, where like everyone has kids and they're all having a picnic together, and they're like in each other's lives. I almost like the idea that like
They
if we
grow
did do a
up
big
and-
time jump, it's like these people have not seen each other. This is a full reunion, like, you know, one of those classic comedy like
Imagine if it was the reunion.
I feel like
imagine if Fantasy High it was
reunion.
Fantasy High 10-year reunion, and something
it's
happened.
in the freaking
it's in the gym again.
I do also, I mean,
Fantasy High Homecoming.
doing a Spider-Man. Yeah,
I like
down for
those.
that.
I would
I
be
really like
I would
that.
be down for those.
I think it makes sense, and also like I just don't know how. Like I think the world is so big. I think Mitch said this to you when talking about Star Wars. It's kind of like we always kind of get around the Jedi, but it's like this world is so big. Let's talk about other parts of it.
Yeah, not just
and
the
I think,
Skywalkers.
Skywalkers. But I also think it's it would be, we've already seen that happen in the Fantasy High universe. So to be able to kind of like have a bunch of other seasons in the world and then come back to them with a homecoming would just be like,
that would be so cute.
ooh, it would be so like crunchy.
Like imagine like coming back, one of them's a teacher, like, you know, Riz is like already an adventurer, like a professional rogue. He's going to be fully doing that.
Figures like out there in the wild world. Gorgag's like got his own little like tinkery business.
Gorgag is a teacher.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, so that would be super cool.
Fabian's a famous dancer that travels the world. Wait, I want to see my spin-offs.
Okay, say your spin-offs.
I know one of them's, maybe that's not a spin-off. I just really wish that we got to go to the rat world. Like I wanted to see.
I think that was fully
world.
just a bit.
I know, but now that there's a whole mall under there, that's a spin-off. Rat World spin-off. My other spin-off, I obviously already said teacher, so I don't want to say it.
What?
What? No, what?
No, go, what?
I already said teacher, so I don't need to say that again. I've said it multiple times throughout the season.
Yeah.
And we talked about it already in the series. But my only other spin-off is guys, this is so good. I want almost like a Suicide Squad.
Oh my gosh.
Spin-off.
Yeah.
But it's directed by the Hawk CIA guy, FBI guy. And he's like putting together a team, and like Kipper Lily's on the team. But then we've got like some old
Isn't Kipper Lily dead?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
But like they bring them back because you know how like Suicide Squad is like everyone's dead.
Right.
Everyone's dead. Everyone's like in jail.
Yeah.
So like maybe it's like dead characters that come back that have to do stuff in like this crew, and like one of them is like a rat grinder that got killed by one of the rats that got killed by a rat grinder or something. Or like we see like Lucy Frostblade come back. Or even someone like Jay Stardiamond. Obviously, I'm thinking people from this season, but there's so many people that I think could come back. Even like if it was like Marisha's character from Leviathan that was on the table. Or like
it would be interesting to bring people like who have been on the table for FH and like do that plus an Intrepid Hero.
Plus an Intrepid Hero, plus some NPCs that we haven't seen. Like I feel like
new characters to come in as well.
Like 3 people that have played before, whether it's in a spin-off or in a main season. Oh my gosh, an Intrepid Hero, a 7, and a Leviathan, and then 3 other NPCs that are like crucial that we could bring to the table. I just feel like it'd be so fun to have like the Hawk leading this crew and like do the thing, or even like one
I
of the
feel like the
cubbies.
Hawk isn't very good. Like he doesn't seem very good at his job.
But exactly,
He
I
seems
think
like a
that-
himbo.
But Fantasy High.
But I know what you mean. I know
Fantasy
what
High
you
is
mean. Yeah.
horrible. Or like even or maybe it's led by one of the cubbies.
The who?
The cubbies. You remember the guy that like
Oh
breaks them out of the jail?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my 2 spin-off thoughts.
Those are great thoughts. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us in this debrief of Fantasy High junior year. It has been a journey, like we said, 20 episodes. Chonky.
Mainly, basically a whole year.
Like, if you haven't subscribed to Dropout, please subscribe to Dropout.
What are you doing here?
What are you even doing here? But thank you so much for coming on this journey. Anything that you want to contribute to all the stuff that we've talked about in this episode, please check them in the comments.
Please.
Correct us for some of this stuff.
Yes.
Obviously, we can't do anything to correct ourselves.
Tell us why you love this season. Tell us if you had any other thoughts that
Favorite bits,
you
your
struggled with this
theories.
season.
Yeah.
Hey, please give me your spin-off thoughts, guys. I will just be in the comments for that.
We'll see you in the
you
next
next
episode.
time.
See ya.